Hello and welcome to episode 12 of deValiante Reads Highway Blossoms by Studio Elon. This kinetic novel was part of Humble Bundle's bundle for racial justice and equality. It also contains strong language, sexual themes, and deals with loss and grieving. If you're not in a headspace to handle these topics, please consider skipping this video. Now, without further ado, let's get started. I vaguely know where the casino Mariah mentioned is located. We passed it earlier today, but I didn't pay much attention to it. As we loaded out of the RV, Marina is dragging her feet.
Do you want to wait here? I can just go take care of this and then come back.
No way! I don't want to split up again.
After I lock up, I take her hand. Since I'm in the lead this time, the walk isn't as slow. With the evening approaching, the temperature's gone down. At the same time, traffic is starting to build up. In a few hours, it'll look like an entirely different city here, once all the lights come on. The view of the big city at night, far in the distance, has always been one of my favorite sights. I can remember staying up late when Gramps and I were on the road so that I could press like a sticker against the window and look. They sell postcards of New York and Atlanta and other places all lit up because it's so pretty. We got a couple of hours until then. Neither Marina nor I say much while we walk. Even given the situation, it doesn't feel as awkward as some of our quiet times before. Soon we reach the building Mariah described.
This the place?
Yeah, this is it.
We step inside. I can see why Mariah said this place might be closed soon. Although it's pretty clean looking, there's hardly anyone here. A couple of people occupy slot machines far away from each other. Aside from those two and a bored-looking host, the place is pretty empty. Well, those three in the trio, Mariah and her posse, are seated in a semicircular couch. It and an identical couch form a circle around a card table. No greetings are exchanged as Marina and I take our places across from them. A sealed deck of cards sits on the table. It's got Lottie Las Vegas landmarks and logos all over it, but at least it's legit.
Should we ask that guy to come deal for us?
Hell no! The only reason they don't check ID is because they don't care. If you attract any attention, they'll throw you out.
Okay, so who will?
Tess can.
Tess nods.
Really? No offense, but does she even know how?
Of course she knows how. She's not an idiot. And before you get any ideas, she's more likely to help you cheat than help me.
Tess nods again.
Just ask.
Alright, that works for me.
Because if two underage girls are going to play, then why not have a 10-year-old deal the cards? Mariah slits open the plastic wrap on the deck and hands it to Tess. The little girl takes out the instructional cards and the jokers, and then shuffles. I have to say, I'm impressed. She creates a bridge with the cards that's way tidier than I could ever do. Mechanical, even.
So there are 16 pieces total. We'll go piece by piece, I guess.
Sure.
That means that I have to win 8 hands in a row, without Mariah or the dealer winning any, to earn back all of Marina's treasure, and I won't settle for anything less than the full amount. We have a small stack of tokens near us, with each represent a single piece of treasure.
How does this game work?
Basically, you try to get the cards in your hand to add up to 21, or as close as possible without going over. Whoever's closest wins that round. The dealer can win too. We all get 2 cards. Then, you can stand, which is where you don't take any more cards, or you can hit, which is where you draw another.
That sounds really easy.
I guess. Like I said, it's mostly luck.
Shut up. Time to play.
I flip her off, but don't argue. Tess deals us the first hand. I stand while Mariah hits. I don't expect her to beat my 18, but she lays down a 10, a 3, and a 6. Now that's pretty lucky.
Damn.
Tess slides her 2 tokens. On our next round, I beat her. I win the next 2 rounds after that, but then the dealer wins, and we have to start over. The game drags on for a long time. Joseph has fallen asleep, head lolling backwards over the couch. Even Marina, who has both her honor and money at stake here, is starting to fidget. We've been playing for close to an hour. She doesn't complain at all, though. After a while, even Mariah and I are starting to get annoyed. She sighs and shifts irritatedly while I debate what to do. And when she takes her time thinking, I bite down the urge to say something snarky and hurry her along. Once Tess wins again and we're both sitting at 3 pieces each, Mariah wipes her palms and clears her throat.
This is taking forever.
Yep. But if you're saying we just call it here, the answer is no.
No. But let's just go all or nothing. One final hand. Then you won't be able to say I cheated or took advantage of anyone, and I can finally relax with my treasure.
I think about it. One more hand, huh? The odds are probably better than if we were probably better if we were to sit here all night. Maybe I'm not good enough at math to calculate. It would be possible that we were here until the festival comes around if we kept going back and forth like this. I look over at Marina, whose interest has been piqued again.
What do you think?
She gives it a long thought, her face betraying nothing. Then she shrugs.
I have no idea.
Right then.
Fine. All or nothing.
Mariah nods satisfied.
Deal 'em, kid.
Tess passes out our cards. I pick mine up, holding them so only Marina can see. A 9 and a 7. Not awful, but not great. Tess is showing an 8. I try to gauge some sort of reaction from Mariah, but her face is totally expressionless. No wonder she beat Marina at poker.
Amber?
I think that's the first time she's ever said my name. It sounds weird coming from her.
I'll stand.
If I were to take a hit and draw another card, there's a pretty good chance it put me over blackjack, and that would be the loss by default.
Sis?
Hit me!
4. Tess slides her another card, then flips one over the whole card. It's a 4, with a grand total of 12. That means we beat her at least.
Let's see.
I lay down my cards and wait for Mariah to do the same. Except she doesn't. She just looks at my cards, flat on the table, face stony, mouth silent. Then she makes a sound of disgust and stands as she flings her 3 cards toward the table. I flip them over to see a 3, a 2, and a 10.
We win.
That's all I say. Marina looks at me, then at the table, then back to me, making sure she heard me right.
We did?
Yeah. The total of her hand was closer to 21 than hers was.
Strangely, I don't even feel excited. Not about the victory, which is nice, or the fact that it came over Mariah, which is nicer. I just feel relieved. Marina squeals and then explodes toward me, half leaping, half tackling me into a hug as I nearly fall off the couch. She plants a large kiss on my cheek and then travels over to my mouth.
Oh God, Amber! I was so worried, but oh my God, thank you! You're the best!
Her praises are dotted with kisses all over my face. Joseph, woken up by the commotion, looks away with a blush. Tess, on the other hand, stares at us, creepily apathetic. I separate myself from Marina and stand up. Mariah has already traveled halfway to the door, not saying anything in her defeat. The little wooden box of gold sits abandoned where her arm was. I check and count the pieces of treasure. they're all there. I start to move towards Mariah to say something, but Joseph clucks his tongue. I stop.
Don't worry about her. She's always like this.
Sorry.
Not sure what else to say. I half shrug, which is hard since Marina still clings to my arm.
Don't be. Better things work out this way. Come on, kiddo.
He takes Tessa's hand and they start to follow Mariah, who's left the building.
You ladies take care.
You too.
See you later.
Once they leave, I look down at the mess of chips and cards on the table. Someone will come by to clean them up. Marina tugs on my shirt. When I look at her, she kisses me on the lips again. For the first time today, we stay like that for a long time, not caring about how many stares we might be getting, though it can't be more than 3. I can still taste a faint saltiness from her tears. I feel her lips curve into a smile even before we pull apart.
Thank you. Seriously. I know I'm always saying thank you and sorry, but I am sorry that I screw up so much.
Don't worry about it. It all worked out, right?
Yeah, but only because you were there. I don't know what I would have done if you weren't.
Well, if I wasn't, then you wouldn't be either, you know?
I mean it as a joke, but she doesn't laugh. Just leans into me.
I know.
Then we kiss again. We must look like perverts just standing in the middle of a casino making out.
You ready to get out of Vegas?
Definitely. But, one thing first.
What's that?
Can we get something to eat?
I was hoping you'd say that. I saw this Chinese place earlier that smelled amazing. Sound good?
Very.
Hand in hand, like always, we leave the casino and make the quick walk to the restaurant. I'd come across it while waiting for Marina before. All along the strip, more and more lights are coming on. It's hard to tell that it's getting much darker out because of how much artificial light there is. We get to the restaurant and eat outside on the patio, watching as more and more buildings are illuminated. By the time we're done and back to the RV, Las Vegas has shifted fully from daytime to artificial daytime. Before we buckle in, I pull back all of the curtains.
Make sure you get a good spot by the window. You're gonna want to see this.
It starts slowly, just a few lights and apartment windows coming to life, or lonely streetlights flickering on. I drive slowly, so as to keep us here longer. Beside me, Marina shifts impatiently, but doesn't say anything. By now, she knows when I'm being serious. I know she won't be disappointed. As more and more lights flare up across the skyline, I can see Marina shift to get a better view. I smile to myself. This is what I was waiting for. What she was waiting for, even if she didn't know it. Las Vegas lights up like a forest of Christmas trees, glimmering orange and yellow against the muddy blackness of the night sky. The further away from the heart of the city we get, the more of its gorgeous sprawl we can see. Soon it's so immense that the entire world seems to be awash with forced color. I ignore the signs that will lead us all the way out of Las Vegas and instead cruise along the streets that will let us admire it for longer. Marina's head slowly turns with every bend in the road, her gaze magnetically fastened to the city. Skyscrapers zoom by, each one another pillar of light. The casinos, which have gaudier decorations, make an exotic contrast to the mundane office and apartment buildings. Marina drinks it all in, like water, out here in the desert. Light from the window frames her face, and I remember how I thought of her as angelic back at Zion. Now the word is even more fitting, because of the way her open mouth smile enhances the effect. She catches me watching, and for a second that smile is directed at me. Then she turns back to Vegas, which is finally starting to recede as we head out of town. She's silent until long after it's faded from the rearview mirror, when she clears her throat and finally looks at me again.
We're going back one day, right?
Sure, if you want.
Good, because we didn't even get to do like a nickel...
Quarter.
A quarter of the super cool stuff we should have done.
Oh yeah? Like what?
Even if I do live like a gross hermit, I know what Vegas has to offer, but I like seeing her excited. There's always a genuine spark of wonder that's ignited when she is. It might have to do with her lack of experience, but I like to think she'd be the same regardless.
Well, there's this pirate sun show that looks really cool. I heard about another show with fountains and lights that shoots water way up high in the air and... Oh!
She spreads her arms far apart and scrunches her face down, giving herself a double chin.
I want to try every single buffet in town.
That's a lofty goal, Marina.
But we're rich now.
I thump her head and squish her down with the palm of my hand.
And we almost lost all of that in a single day, so you should know how easy it is to blow it.
Well, I think it would be romantic. We can rent out a hotel room, order a really nice bottle of wine, and just cuddle by the window and look at the lights.
A wistful look gleams in her eyes as she gazes out the window into the vast desert night, sighing like I just stepped out of a royal carriage and swept her off her feet. Never mind the fact that Marina has probably never tried wine in her life and would spit it out the second it touched her lips. That does sound really nice. Guess I have some high expectations to live up to. I've always had them, but now it feels more official. Now more than ever, I'm obligated to keep her happy and safe. Those thoughts occupy my mind for an hour or so as we traverse the desert highway. Marina's gone back to staring out the window at the barely visible roadside. We pass a sign right off the side of our deserted lane. We're pushing 80, so we almost miss it, but I catch a quick glimpse as we speed by. Nothing special, just a dusty sheet of aluminum with a picture of poppies and 3 words printed on it. Welcome to California. It's gone before I can even process it. I guess we're in California. It doesn't look like Marina noticed, and why would she? We've passed several state lines, and it was never a big deal then. No welcoming party or even a government checkpoint. That suits me just fine. She hasn't brought up her surprise anymore either, whatever it was. Probably better to just let her forget about that. But that doesn't mean the day is over yet, and the places that Geezer would always yak on about may as well have stapled onto my brain.
Hey, you trust me?
Her head pricks up and she turns away from the window, answering without delay.
Of course I do. Why?
Just checking.
And that's that. No more questions, just blind trust. I continue driving, eventually branching off onto an exit. Another thing I don't think Marina notices. Soon, budding lights start popping up in the distance. Typical yellows and whites barely hovering above the road with one exception. Towering on the horizon, outlined in neon red and digital numbers climbing towards the sky, is a giant monstrosity of a thermometer. It caps off above the middle, reaching temperatures all the way up to 62 degrees. Finally, it dawns on Marina. Her head twists toward me like an owl, her eyes just as wide as one.
Amber, what's going on?
She feigns concern at first, but her voice curls up mid-sentence, unable to hide her smile any longer.
You said you trust me, right?
And I do.
Marina tilts over and rubs up on my shoulder. I go dead stiff. again feeling the weight of that trust and responsibility. We drive into town, which as far as I can tell is just one long street. Old beat-up gas stations and fast food joints line the side of the road, separated by an occasional diner. The thermometer is tucked away, hidden in a corner, but it may as well be the center of the universe, the rest of the world zooming by on the interstate. I pull into the lot by the thermometer, its only neighbor being a small shack. The sound of the ignition dwindles down to nothing, leaving the RV parked wherever. I'm the first one to get out, craving the sweet, stationary concrete as I stretch my legs. Wobbling in front of the thermometer, I flop my hands at my sides, dotting our arrival.
Here we are, the world's tallest thermometer.
Marina steps out of the RV, eyes sparkling, mouth wide open in awe, her face frozen in time. She reaches into the motorhome and pulls out her camera, a single flash shooting out from it as she winds the camera for the next shot.
I thought you might like it.
A smug grin finds a way on my face as I revel in the pride and satisfaction of knowing I did something to make her smile. Except she's not smiling, she's staring. Not at the thermometer now, but at me. A near lifeless gaze, cloaked by the dimming headlights of the motorhome.
Marina?
Readying her stance, she pushes her feet off the ground and charges toward me.
If we're doing this, then we're doing it right.
Wait, Marina!
Too late. Before I can even finish my plea, she swings around my neck and snugly brings me to her side, swooshing out the camera and aiming it right at us.
Hey, Amber.
Her finger inches closer to the button.
Don't do it!
Say...
She draws out the word to an excruciating length. I struggle to break free, but she just squeezes me tighter.
I'm warning you!
Hey, cheese!
She bends in and presses her lips against my cheek. Hold and flash.
Huh.
I stare at the camera, mind blank, my non-reaction drawing out a cute giggle from her. And then it hits me. A thought so mortifying and embarrassing that it shades my skin a pink and red gradient she thinks is cute. At this point, I'm butter, or clay, from Marina's perspective. And that's exactly what she treats me as, molding me into new positions as she snaps more photos. She's so happy. Before she whines for the next photo, I nudge her head with mine. She nudges back, both of us cuddling against each other as she snaps the next picture. She takes several more shots, each one a little more gooberish and drenched in cheesy romantic goo than the last. I'll probably die if anyone ever sees these, but with any luck, Marina's constant bouncing will hopefully make a few of these come out fuzzy. Still, I think I might love this. Like, a lot. When we first met, I didn't think I'd ever understand the naive ball of energy just looking for some help. In a lot of ways, I still don't. I drove by at such perfect time. Who even knows what would happen to her? Who even knows what would have happened to her? Thinking about it still drives me nuts. But still, those types of things don't seem nearly as big as they used to. Even almost losing the treasure to Mariah was just a sizzling drop in the frying pan. If anything, I'm more upset that I wasn't there to help her when it went down. After all, that's why I'm here. To help and protect her. She makes me so happy. With my hand now wrapped around Marina, I clench her tighter, only for my hand to be met with an adorable gurgling rumble transmitted from her stomach. We both looked down at the source. Her with a bashful sort of terror, and me with amused disbelief.
Even after all that food at the buffet?
I can't help it.
You're a bottomless pit. The Marina Trench.
Amber, please. That one wasn't even clever.
I cackle with glee, tossing her the keys to the RV as I walk over to a nearby shack.
I'm just messing with you, babe. Go lock up. We'll grab a bite and sleep here for the night.
The shack is sad and abandoned. The cute logo of a little chef carrying on an oversized bun all but faded away. I peek inside the browning windows. It's more of the same. Rusty and decaying outlines of tables and booths are imprinted in dust, while ones built into the walls were just left to rot. It was always just a side thing he mentioned when talking about the thermometer, but not being able to experience everything he mentioned feels wrong. Like I'm not doing right by him. Damn.
Looks like that's one more thing I can check off your list.
Marina waltzes into the diner, keeping the door open for me as we scurry in from the breezy entryway. Immediately, she's drawn to the claw machine in the corner, filled to the brim with non-specific and unlicensed stuffed animals. Her eyes glitter as she tries to get me to notice the glass box of wonders. Coming from anyone else, this action would be subtle, maybe a few quick glances at most. Coming from Marina, not so much. Instead, she repeatedly swings her head in the direction of the machine, like she's trying to form a giant crescent moon with her neck. But I know Marina well enough now. Well enough to know exactly what she wants. Snuggled tight between a fuzzy ball with googly eyes and a lion with a crown lies the Holy Grail. A gray wolf with a polka dot bow tie. Unfortunately for her, our waitress is already waving us over to our seats. Marina stares into the glass, her foggy reflection lighting up with a wolf. I take her hand and lead her to the booth. Once there's some distance between us and the waitress, I lower my voice.
Don't worry, I'll give it a whirl after we eat.
Marina, however, can't take a hint, and blurts out her response, alerting every weary soul in the diner.
Whoa, you actually know how to win at those? I've never been any good at them.
A counter lined with jumbo clones turns around and glares at us before shaking their heads and returning to their meals. Oh well.
Of course I do. You know how many of these diners I went to as a kid? When you eat at the same place almost every day, you get good. Fast.
Wow, you're like a claw goddess.
Damn right.
Marina ogles me like a claw goddess. Marina ogles me like the claw goddess I am as we take our seats at the booth. I gladly accept her glory and praise. The waitress flops the menu on our table and silently waits for us to order our drinks.
Just coffee for me.
With her eyes glazing over, she turns to Marina.
What kind of shakes do you have?
The waitress reaches her wrinkly hands across the table and tosses the dessert menu in front of Marina. She flips through the menus and strains her eyes shut, focusing on what very well may be the most important decision of her life.
Amber, you got coffee, right?
Right.
Then that's what I'll get.
Ew. Overflowing with certainty, she stares at the waitress and gives her a direct, confident command.
I'll have the coffee shake.
You're going to be shaken for the rest of the night.
Extra whipped cream.
The waitress doesn't even bother to write this down, instead dragging her body back to her tomb in the kitchen.
You know that shake isn't going to taste the same as my coffee, right? It's just going to be a ton of ice cream and cheap coffee flavoring.
Yeah, but I at least gotta try it, for your sake.
Why would you choke down a crappy shake for my sake?
You do everything for me. Everything.
Of course I do. That's my job.
A stiff chuckle slips out from under her breath.
Right. But I want to do things for you too.
So you're ordering the coffee shake as a cosmic favor. You're losing me, Mare.
She whines, momentary frustration seeping onto her face.
No, not like that. It's silly, but I want to poke around in your mind a little. That way I can do favors and help. So I guess it's not just for your sake, but for both of our sakes.
She smiles and rests her head to the side, as if expecting my shoulder to be there like always. Realizing she's only leaning on air, Marina blinks, then tries to play it off with a tiny cough.
I saw that.
Before I can take my teasing to more exciting places, the waitress returns from the kitchen, barely managing to balance our drinks on the platter as my coffee splashes everywhere. She doesn't seem to care. She places our drinks on the table, then limps out her notepad and pen to take our orders.
Thanks, but I'll stick with coffee.
Marina is too distracted by the shake to notice. Her eyes climb up to the tower of extra whipped cream as it twirls to the ceiling, rivaling the thermometer outside.
Snap 2. What do you want?
Oh,
She opens up the big menu and flips through the pages multiple times, front to back, side to side, even upside down, repeating the process every time.
Before we miss the festival, Mare.
I know, but there's just so much to choose from. I have to be picky.
You didn't have a problem vacuuming up everything at the buffet.
Marina drops the menu. If it were a few pounds heavier, I'm pretty sure she would have dropped it on my feet. Handing the menus to the waitress, she leans over the table, inches away from my face. She places her order, her pupils burn with intensity.
I'll have the pancake sandwich.
Ew. Dead serious. The waitress wobbles away, somehow not collapsing on her way back to the kitchen. I try not to burst out laughing at Marina, but it doesn't work. The cracks are showing. Stilted snorts and spurts of snickering keep leaking out. Marina's cheeks puff out, getting brighter as I bubble over.
Why do you have to tease me about everything, Amber?
I break. My laugh echoes across the diner. Again, we're met with glares, but I don't even care.
Fine. Maybe I won't share the treasure with you after all.
I wave off her empty threat and settle down.
I'm sorry. It's just that...
Done laughing, I rest my chin on the table and start fumbling with the salt and pepper shakers.
That's what Gramps used to order. All the time.
Marina has already reverted back to her usual self, watching me pass the salt and pepper back and forth, like she wants to join in.
It's so weird. Just 2 huge pancakes with eggs, bacon, and ham smashed in the middle. Things drenched in syrup.
That sounds super tasty, though.
I chuckle and slide her the pepper.
I'm sure you'll love it.
Now it's just the salt shaker sliding between my hands.
He never eats the eggs. Always just passes them on to me. They're so gross. Just scrambled and cold and sticky. I always tell him no, but the dork just laughs and says he's gonna keep egging me on. Every single time.
Marina laughs at the stupid joke. I laugh too.
We would just end up bringing it home in a box. And when it went bad, he would just take it out of the fridge and say, "That's all, yokes!" Like it was the most clever freaking thing.
She laughs even harder at that one. I think I do too. I keep my eyes focused on the shaker, sliding it faster and faster.
When we go home, you two really need to get together and meet.
The salt shaker trips on my pinky and topples over, spilling a few grains of salt. Marina is tense, but forces a smile anyway. She sighs. We both look down and go silent.
I think I'm gonna head back to the RV.
I get up and reach into my pocket, placing a bill on the table.
Amber?
Don't worry, I'll be fine. Just need some time.
Leaving Marina behind me, I walk out of the diner. Blazing hot tears stream down my cheeks as I stumble through the motorhome. I'm choking, and there's nothing I can do to stop it. How could I forget, even only for a second? Am I really that heartless? I want to throw up. I can barely stand, tearing down all the magnets on the fridge as I trip over my own tears. The next thing I know, I'm falling onto the bed. And even though I land on its stiff, concrete springs, I still feel like I'm falling. The ceiling is getting further and further away as I sink deeper. I jerk myself up, faced with a photo that has confronted and haunted me for so long. For a second, I smile again too. But then I remember, and it fades just as quickly. The tears start flowing again, harder than ever before. I curl up in a ball and bury my face into my knees. It doesn't help muffle my crying, cover the shame, or even make me feel any better. I just cry. The cracks have been forming for a while, and now I have shattered. I'm not sure if I'll ever be able to glue myself back together. It never occurred to me just how hard it would be when he was gone. Growing up, I wasn't just his responsibility. We were each other's responsibility. How many credit cards did I max up in those last few months? Even after he told me to stop, I kept pushing. Bank calls, doctor calls, middle of the night ER visits, everything. But nothing helped. Nothing. I tried so hard, but in the end, I had to watch my best friend, the only person who ever wanted me, wither away. He held up his end of the bargain. Through every discovery, every stupid heartbreak, and every fighting with Ma, he always took care of me and always just loved me. I couldn't hold up mine, though. I failed. Even now, I keep finding holes in everything I did. I could have found a specialty hospital. I could have read up more on forms of medicine. I could have read up more on new forms of medicine, too. I could have, but I didn't. And now he's gone. My pants are damp. They've been soaking up all my tears, but I don't care. I just want my grandpa back. The motorhome door opens and brushes against the outside wall, followed by soft footsteps that creak along the floor. Marina. I try to act quick, sneaking a final few sniffs in before wiping away my tears, but it's no use. They just keep trickling down. She appears in the doorway. I turn around and drown out the sobbing with my hand. It's so embarrassing. She shouldn't have to see me like this. But I don't think I can muster enough composure to ask her to leave without breaking down. Marina reaches out for me, drenched with worry, but realization sets in and her eyes soften. reflecting a deep sense of genuine empathy and love. Silent, she sits down next to me and wraps her arm around my head before I squirm away. Cradling me on her lap, she caresses my hair and cheeks with the tips of her fingers. My crying stops as I process it all, feeling nothing but her softness embracing me. Marina begins humming, gentle and breathing. I recognize the song instantly. It's from Gramps' favorite tape. She probably doesn't know the significance behind it. I've never even told her. But she remembered it. After all the times I've looped it, she remembered. The tears come back, but quieter this time. She keeps humming regardless. It's a little choppy, her voice breaking off in some places due to lack of air, but I adore it all the same. I cry, and I cry, and I cry, letting myself go for the first time since it happened, all while listening to her hum, hiding in my warm, safe bubble, with Marina bundled tight around me. Right now, she's the most important person in the world to me. So much warmth, I don't just feel moved. I feel a resounding sense of something that's even more special than that. And I want to build on it. Turning around, I work my way up and kiss Marina's neck. The humming and caressing stop. This time I move to her collarbone. She winces back, tensing up. I pull away. For a moment I feel like crying again, this time out of a different shade of guilt, but Marina looks back at me and smiles. I stare back, but she gives a short nod and cranes her neck. Then with a nod of my own, I lean back in, returning to her neck. Thank you for joining me for episode 12 of Highway Blossoms by Studio Elon. Episode 13 will be out shortly. If you enjoyed this video, please leave a comment letting me know what you like down below. Please no hate or spoilers, as I'm not above removing those comments and the people who make them. That's all for now, folks, and I'll see you next time.